This is Soggy Nachos Podcast. My name is John L. Got my man Charlie with me, got my man Frank Diddy with me, and today we're discussing how to fix the Buffalo Bills, the top 4 ways to fix the Buffalo Bills. Now, this isn't in any particular order, you know what I'm saying? But I will start with what I would put at the top of every list, and especially this list. These guys need some weapons. These guys need some weapons. I was the biggest Stephon Diggs fan of all time, even when he was in Minnesota. I loved him. You know, my dad went to the University of Maryland, so it's like he has like high expectations for University of Maryland players. So he didn't like Diggs because he, was 5th-round pick. I always liked Diggs. You know, I mean, at this point, I don't think he's it no more. Let's just call it what it is. I don't think he's a stud number 1 receiver anymore. That being said, though, outside of him, they got 2 solid tight ends. They don't have nothing else. Khalil Shakir, Gabe Davis spends half of his game not catching passes. I mean, they got a skinny running back, James Cook. I like James Cook when he's slim. I don't know, man. The offensive line not even great, but I ain't getting to all that. The weapons, I'm big on weapons. Josh Allen, he back there, he's big boy, big arm. He do all types of stuff, but the reality is he got to do too much because you got to have weapons. That being said, Chuck, what you think, homeboy?
So before I get to number 2, which is really number 1, I do want to follow up on what Nell said about the weapons, is that he mentioned Gabe Davis, who's not under contract. So not only do you have Gabe Davis hitting free agency, you have a number 1 receiver that's kind of aging out. Like, if they do not address weapons, there's no way that they're back in this same position next year. But that being said, the number 2 thing they need to do, get McDermott out of here. I wanted McDermott gone already earlier in the year when they was talking all that 9/11 stuff where he made a comparison with the terrorists from the terrorist point of view, some type of wild stuff that I didn't think he'd make it past there. But when you watch the AFC, I was going to say championship, but the AFC divisional round, him versus Pat Mahomes, the number 1 thing I see is the offense for Pat Mahomes helps Pat Mahomes out. Like, they have outs. They have easy stuff. Like, Pat doesn't have to be a magician every play. Pat only has to be a magician when he has to be a magician. Josh Allen has to do that on a down in, down out basis. That ain't gonna cut it. It's not gonna cut it. Not against the Chiefs. I think they need to give it to McDermott. Number 1, Frank isn't gonna oppose to this. He's a defensive coach. Like, that's not what we doing nowadays. That's not what we do in the NFL nowadays. Get them an offensive coach. Trade for Brian Daboll. I'm a Giants fan. Trust me, I'll do it. Like, their offense hasn't looked the same since Daboll left. Go get an offensive coach that will give your quarterback an advantage instead of making him play hero ball. And Frank knows what happens when Josh Allen gets to play hero ball a little too long. It just is what it is.
Before Frank goes, Charlie, when you said sometimes Pat has to be a magician, I just want to point out that I am a horrible magician.
I'd be a horrible magician because I fuck a trick up.
I'd be a
okay, Eminem.
Yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
So we have 3 and 4 on this list. In either no particular order, really, but 1, I'd say a running back, because I know they have James Cook and that's cute, but I don't know if you guys paid attention. But going into the 4th quarter of that game, James Cook had 67 yards and he finished the game with 61. They need a bruising running back, somebody to really, like, you know what I'm saying? They could really do it. It's funny because when you think about it, over the last couple of years, when anything has happened, who are one of the first teams that comes up? When Christian McCaffrey became available, Buffalo. When all the stuff with Saquon was happening, Buffalo. When Jonathan Taylor contract talks, Buffalo. Because if you have eyes, you could see that not only a better offensive system, but a running back that can really take the pressure off him, that is a multiple like weapon that can relieve stress, that can really just kind of like, make explosive plays so they're not all Josh Allen, would do him some good, would also make the defense have to account for that more. It would just be a really important call for their offense. Depending on what they're doing at receiver, I just think it's an important thing for them to have. And especially a team in the position they are, that is where running back matters, right, Charlie? You know what I'm saying? When you're there,
exactly.
A really good running back could matter there. So I just
about
think
order of operation.
And then, last but not least, if you want to slow the other team down, somebody got a pass rush. You know what I'm saying? I think we can.
They got Von Miller.
We can all sit here and say that they probably understood that they needed that, but I don't know whose idea this was to sign a 30-something-year-old pass rusher to a big deal, and thought that was the solution.
Von Miller is getting a 6-year deal for $120 million from the Buffalo Bills.
But 0 sacks and 5 tackles on the season for Von Miller tells you all you need to know. So if we're keeping it real, they need some kind of pass rush, maybe to give them a chance, to maybe give their defense like a chance to make some stops so that, maybe hero ball doesn't have to continually happen.
Look, if I could add one, I think they need our bonus. They need a witch doctor, man. They need to exorcise these demons.
I have exorcised the demons.
I don't think that Josh Allen is possessed with losing to Pat Mahomes. Like Pat Mahomes is living in Josh Allen's head.
Ain't enough witch magic to
I don't know, man. Like I truly believe if he has to play anybody else in the playoffs, Joe Burrow included, any of the Lamar Jackson, he has an opportunity to do so. When he plays Patrick Mahomes, it's like I have to do this. I have to do like that's all he thinks. He's possessed. We need to get him somebody. We need to get him Jim Carrey, or we need to get him a witch doctor. Extra something. He got to get these demons taken care of.
That's fat, man. And it's Andy Reid, too. So, got to add that to the stew. Anyways, man, this has been Soggy Nachos Podcast. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Tell somebody about us.
Please, take the Chiefs out of the league. Maybe that'll help. That's the real one.
They have a big back. His name is Josh Allen.